Grief saved me.
Casualty of war. If he hadn't interfered, he might still be alive.
I've spent my whole life putting bad guys behind bars.
A lot of people thought they knew why Pauley Perrette stopped acting. The story that was told was easy. She wanted less noise in her life. The leaked papers, on the other hand, tell a different tale. There were claims of attack, safety violations, and a co-star she was so scared of that she had to go to therapy to deal with it all. CBS thought that the payment would be the end of everything. They were wrong. Pauley is finally ready to tell the truth about what really happened on set in those last few years, now that he is 56 years old. Pauley Perrette was born in New Orleans on March 27, 1969, but she didn't have a stable childhood. For many years, her family moved from one state to another because her father worked for the train. Over the course of her childhood, she lived in 14 different places. She never stayed long enough in any one place to feel like she belonged. So she learned how to quickly adapt, fit in, and read people quickly by being moved around a lot. She was born in Louisiana, but she always said Alabama was where she belonged. She learned to be very flexible by growing up in many different places in the South, something that would help her get by in the crazy world of Hollywood. Even before anyone knew her real name, Pauley wanted to be a police officer. She did more than read fairy tales and watch cartoons as a kid. She liked reading about real crooks and the science that was used to catch them. She wanted to be an FBI agent, join a rock band, or work with animals, while most kids her age wanted to be astronauts or sports. She really meant it. She went to college after high school and got degrees in crime, sociology, and psychology. That wasn't all she did. She went to New York and started going to John Jay College of Criminal Justice to get her master's degree. It wasn't fame or success that drove her. She only wanted to know why some people hurt others without feeling bad about it. She thought about that question for a long time. She was trying to study and make ends meet when something happened that would never happen again. During her time in Atlanta in the 1980s, she was robbed badly. The effect was strong, but details are hard to come by. It wasn't just a scary moment. It was the start of something new. She didn't try to hide the pain. Instead, she used it as fuel. It made her want to learn more about crime and help other people even more. Following that, she began to speak out for victims. Because she knew what it was like to be one of those people, she used her voice and growing stage to help those who had been hurt. A lot of interesting things happened to her in college. Pauley worked very hard at school, but she had to work even harder outside of school just to stay alive. She studied criminal law in Georgia and did well in school. Things got worse when she moved to New York. She worked as a bartender in basement clubs with a mohawk and combat, boots on, fitting right in with the city's weird nightlife. To pay for school, she also handed out flyers while skating on roller skates and cooked on dinner tour boats. It wasn't flashy, but she said it all gave her an edge in the end. She wasn't just reading about how people act in books. Every day, she lived it. Her mix of schoolwork and work experience turned out to be the best way to prepare for acting, even though that wasn't what she had planned. She got her first tattoo when she was 15 years old. That was very strange in the very religious South where she grew up. She grew up in a strict church where TV and movies were not allowed very often. She looked like the right Southern girl as a child. A girl with blonde hair and pigtails who is nice and behaves well. She felt different on the inside, though. She got the tattoos to show that she wasn't going to follow the rules that other people had set for her. She got about 20 tattoos over the years, and each one told a story about who she is. She used her body as a canvas in a way that went against everything her parents taught her. In the 1990s, when she finally got to Hollywood, she only had $71 on her. She had just come back from New York, where she worked as a bartender in clubs and did anything she could to make ends meet. Things didn't get better in Los Angeles. She slept on friends' floors and worked any job she could get. To pay the rent, she even did voiceover work for a dial-in song service. She hadn't worked toward becoming an actress her whole life. She found it by accident while she was trying to stay alive. It was only because her original plan to work in crime wasn't going to work out that she gave it a try. It was one of her worst times, and she walked dogs along Sunset Boulevard for only $5 a day. There wasn't much to it, but it turned into something great. That dog, a pit bull she picked up from the street, became her beloved Cece. That dog wasn't just a pet. It was part of her story. Years later, when she got into a fight with a co-star over his mean dog, the fact that they were related to Cece made the fight seem even worse. She fell in love with animals on those walks, and she has loved them ever since. Since then, she has helped a huge number of animal rescue groups. Hearing someone talk in a coffee shop gave her her first break in TV, not through auditions or managers. Around the corner, she heard that there was a call for people to join the Drew Carey Show. She got a part as an extra named Darcy because of that one scene, which she played in 4 shows over 2 years. After that, she slowly started putting together her resume. She got parts on TV shows like Murder One and Frasier. Every one of them got her one step closer to her big break. That talk that was overheard was the turning point. The year 2000 saw her in the movie Almost Famous, where she played a radio host named Alice Wisdom. While the part wasn't very important, it gave her the chance to work with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Cameron Crowe. She was the lead in a small thriller called The Price of Kissing a few years ago. Even though these parts weren't huge hits, they helped her become a better actor. Almost Famous didn't do very well at the box office, but it became a fan favorite. Those movies she was in before NCIS made her popular showed she had a lot of different skills. When Pauley Perrette went to an audition in 2003, she wore loose Levi's, boots, and a white t-shirt. There was nothing about her that made her look like the gothic figure she would soon be known for. Don Belisario is said to have said, "That's her," as soon as she walked in. Later, her friend Kevin Lawson told her she didn't even have to try hard. It was enough that she was always buzzing with energy, talked quickly, and loved giving hugs. She didn't play the part of Abishuto. She did it because it was who she was. It wasn't planned for her to be so energized by coffee, talk so quickly, and love hugs. Pauley was just being himself. Everything changed at that time. Abby did more than just join the group. She became the heart of the team. Fans made it clear, even though CBS doesn't have official data that compares how popular she is to other figures. People really liked Abby. People really liked her. Her part quickly grew bigger than anyone thought it would be. The writers saw the link and kept giving her more screen time. She had been in every episode of the show since the beginning until she left in 2018. That was the best run of anyone on the group. One small stuffed animal caused more trouble on set than any character ever could. What was that? Bert, the farting pig. A purple plush animal that farted when it was squeezed. What began as a prop for the background became a famous part of the set. The cast and team fought hard to keep it. In the end, the makers had to lock it up so no one could take it home. In episode after episode, Bert showed up and made the darkest scenes funnier. The thing that made Abby famous wasn't her goods. It was the little oddities like this that made it stand out. Forensic analyst Abby's job was important to Perrette behind the scenes. It was clear that Abby knew what she was talking about when the 3rd episode, Sea Dog, aired in October 2003. But that wasn't a mistake. She worked with real investigative scientists and learned how the science worked. To make the part feel real, she learned about DNA analysis, ballistics, and lab procedures. She did more than just remember words. They meant what she thought they meant. She was no longer just a TV character because of that. She thought she was ready to go into a real NCIS lab and start working. The part wasn't the only thing that made Pauley Perrette happy. She gave her all to things that were important to her. One of them was giving back to soldiers. The Pups for Patriots program at American Humane put her to work. This program matches soldiers with PTSD with service dogs. And brain damage from accidents. It can cost up to $30,000 to train each of these dogs. Perrette knew the task was important, though, and did what she could to help. More than 160 soldiers have been matched with trained dogs through the program. This has not only helped them, but also given them pride. It showed how much Abby respected service people on the show. During the season 7 finale, the show's fame went through the roof. More than 20 million people in the US watched that one show. It was a big day for NCIS. That year, the crime show did even better than American Idol. Up 25% from last season, the show did better with people ages 18 to 49. From one year to the next, it went from 14.9 million to 17.6 million people. It wasn't just another ending. That's when NCIS became and stayed the most popular scripted program in the United States. It's funny, but Abby's favorite drink, Caf Po, was one of her best marketing ideas. It began as an idea for a design. It was meant to be caffeine pills at first. The makers didn't want Abby to take pills on screen, though, so they changed it to a bright red energy drink. And that red cup became well known. 7-Eleven liked the idea right away and ran a special that made people buy 14% more energy drinks across the country. They even made Caf Po cups with Christmas designs. A lot of fans didn't know this, but Pauley Perrette never drank it. Cranberry juice was in her cups. She never asked for a body double, though. She was very afraid of being squished, even in situations that made her physically sick. But they still shot on their own in small morgue sets. In an important hostage scene in the episode Bête Noire, she had to face her fears. She didn't move. She didn't stop. That's what the show called it, even when the set made her feel like she couldn't breathe. But it wasn't about dead bodies for her. It was about how the walls became tighter. Still, she stayed true to herself. She never let fear get in the way of her work for 15 years. During her time on NCIS, Perrette also made a manga behind closed doors. She wrote under the name P and had a series called Lab Babble that was all about Abby's adventures in the lab. No one at first thought it was her. The comic had Bert the Hippo and Abby's sense of fun and science. Fans finally figured it out. Not the comic, though. That was the most shocking part. That's where the cash went. All of the money made from ads went to cat shelters across the country. It was a kind thing she did without being asked, but she did it anyway. An award from Guinness World Records in 2011 was the first of its kind ever given to a woman. She was named the most watched actress in a crime show on TV. Not just numbers played a role in this. It came from a score called the Q score, which showed how much people liked her directly. Not just the person, but her. She got the job over actors from Law and Order and CSI. At that time, more than 18 million people watched each show of NCIS on average. Not just her goth look or use of science terms, though, made her stand out. That's how she got people to care. Everything on the NCIS set changed in October 2016. Mark Harmon brought Dave, his rescued pit dog, just like he had done for years with no problems. Things went very badly wrong that day, though. It took 15 stitches to heal the dog bite that hurt a crew member so badly. Because of how bad the attack was, work had to stop for 2 hours. It wasn't a quick scare. The hurt person has deep physical wounds and mental damage. Later, Harmon's lawyer admitted that he had told him about the risks of bringing the dog back. Still, Dave came back. There was fear in a place that used to be safe and well-controlled. That event didn't go away quietly. It set off a chain of events that would destroy the show's basis. After the dog attack, Pauley Perrette told CBS that Dave should never come back to the set again. She was scared. She was very angry when the network let the dog come back. Because of this, she had a strict rule added to her contract for season 15. He would never be in the same scene with her again after that. For fans, it looked like a puzzle. They never showed up together on screen. Behind the scenes, filming had to fit around their plans. Different teams worked on each of her scenes on different days. The system got harder to run, and the cost of making things went up. They didn't even share the same building in her last show, which 15 million people watched. The editors had to carefully piece the episodes together, making it look like there was a link where there wasn't one. Then, in June 2019, Pauley told everyone about it. At 6 a.m., she sent out a tweet that shocked people all over the internet. She told them that Harmon scared her and that she had dreams in which he attacked her. It was clear that she would never go back to NCIS. These words did not come from a private or public source. They were straightforward, honest, and real. The internet went crazy. Sites for entertainment crashed as fans tried to figure out what she was saying. Harmon's image as a calm TV dad was all of a sudden shaken. He didn't say anything. For many, that quiet made what she said even stronger. What no one knew at the time was that Pauley had already made 3 separate safety complaints to HR. These weren't just stories about arguments or salary talks. After she left the show, CBS revealed that she had brought up concerns more than a year before she left. In 2018, she wrote that she had been beaten up several times. In her posts, she made it sound like she was being sat down and blamed a strong machine for spreading lies about her leaving. She told them she didn't feel safe going to work and that she needed help afterward. There are 3 different reports she made, which shows she tried to follow the right steps. It also shows that CBS had many chances to move more strongly but didn't. The place of work became something Pauley had to get away from, not just leave behind. When news came out that she had hired a private detective, things got really bad. It wasn't just a temper tantrum. That was proof she was getting. The detective found safety problems on the NCIS set and gave Pauley proof that he could get CBS to settle privately. Several people say that CBS paid her between $5 million and $9 million. It wasn't about a bad plot or less money. It had to do with safety and being responsible. The settlement came with a strict understanding not to talk about anything, which was meant to hide everything. Around the same time, CBS was already getting bad press for other wrongdoings. They had just given Eliza Dushku $9.5 million because she was harassed on a different show. Pauley's payment says that her case was important enough that if the truth came out, it could do a lot of damage to CBS's reputation and Mark Harmon's career. After 2 years, Pauley tried to get back on TV with a new show called Broke. It had a good start. More than 7 million people watched on April 6, 2020. It worked at first, but not for long. The scores dropped quickly. Only 3.6 million people were still watching at the end of the 13-episode season. The show had dropped to a 0.4 rating among people ages 18 to 49, which is a very important group. That number is a lot less than what networks need to keep a show going. The critics weren't nice either, saying the show was dull and had no point. CBS had hoped to bring her back to TV, but it ended in quiet. After being one of the biggest stars in primetime TV, Pauley's return failed because few people watched and the show wasn't well received. 2 months after the end of Broke, Pauley sent out one last letter. "I'm free in bright rainbow colors," was her tweet on July 7, 2020. It wasn't just a good news story. It was her official last performance as an actress. She said that she only had to answer to God, plants, and animals now. She also said that her foster dogs were the only ones who could judge her. It was clear that she had no plans to work in the business again. She had been playing for more than 25 years and had been in more than 350 episodes of NCIS alone. She was done for good now, though. There were no plans, interviews, or farewell tours. There was only one strong word that shut the door for good. A lot of people were shocked by what happened next. It wasn't like she stopped getting work after she retired. She was asked to play guest parts on popular TV shows like The Good Doctor and Law and Order, SVU. Most of the time, these parts bring in between $100,000 and $300,000. It was easy for her to win because of her knowledge and well-known name. She said no, though, because it wasn't longer about money. It was about getting along. She had once backed SVU and its goals, but she didn't want to go back into that world. She was serious when she turned down offers like these. She wasn't after fame. She looked out for her own safety. She opened her eyes in the morning of September 7th, 2021, and knew right away that something was wrong. She felt nothing on the right side of her body at all. She pushed the feeling away, thinking that maybe she had just slept in a weird way, but it didn't go away. It felt like someone else's finger was on her cheek when she touched it. Her skin didn't feel anything, not even the weight of her laptop on her legs. That's when fear set in. When she called her doctor, he told her not to wait. In just a few minutes, she was in the emergency room, where doctors and nurses confirmed what she already knew to be true. She was having a major ischemic stroke at the age of 53. Her voice was gone for 36 hours. She was unable to speak. When she could finally speak again, her first words weren't very exciting. They were fun and funny. Some might even say snarky. "Man, are you serious?" But the truth was that her doctor didn't think she would make it past 5 p.m. that day. That's how dangerous the stroke was. With months of treatment for speech and motor skills, the recovery was long and hard. She was hurt, but she made it through. It wasn't just the doctors who helped her stay alive. It was Rosie. Rosie wasn't a nurse or a family member. She was the dog that Perrette saved. Rosie wouldn't stop pawing at her, which woke her up just in time for the stroke. That little thing saved his life. During a stroke, every minute counts. Rosie bought her those minutes. Rescue animals had always been very important to Perrette. She got several dogs over the years and often talked about how much she loved them. But this wasn't like that. She saved the dog, and it saved her life. That moment showed her that their relationship was deeper than just being friends. I had to stay alive. After that, her love for helping animals grew stronger, based on thanks and something almost sacred. My faith grew stronger after the stroke. It became important for Perrette to find peace in quiet places, away from Hollywood. She began going to a Benedictine monastery in Big Sur twice a year. She learned to breathe, slow down, and listen there. The monks didn't try to change her mind. They taught her how to sit still and pray in a way that made sense to her instead. She made up a simple prayer that she says every day. "Please forgive me for everything I've done." She says she hears clear guidance when there is silence. It's not loud or dramatic. Words like trust and not now come out of nowhere. She hadn't grown up with this kind of faith. She didn't even know how to pray back then. After some time, though, her talks with God feel more like chats with a friend. These trips away helped her deal with more than just the stroke. They helped her deal with years of trauma, such as being abused and being victimized in a brutal attack in 2015 that left her scared and shaken. Every time Perrette was in pain, she found ways to help others. She was in charge of making a documentary called Studio One Forever, which was very important to her. Studio One was the first gay disco in the United States. The movie looks into its history. That was in West Hollywood from 1974 to 1994. It was more than just a club. LGBTQ people could find freedom, happiness, and each other there, especially in the early scary days of the AIDS crisis. Famous people who were there, like Bruce Vilanch and Chita Rivera, tell their stories in the movie. But there was a simple reason for Perrette to do it. She wanted people to be able to hear them. "People should know that Studio One is more than just a dance floor," she said. In a dangerous time, it was a safe spot. The project's premiere was at the Outfest LA Film Festival in 2023. It became a celebration of history, strength, and community. But some of her most important work was never talked about in the news. In 2015, she quietly helped Cristina Flores, a young woman with cancer. Cristina really liked the TV show NCIS and wished she could meet Abby Sciuto. That dream came true with help from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They got to know each other, spent time together, and even got temporary tattoos that matched. After a few weeks, Cristina died. At the time, no one knew this, but Pauley had paid for Cristina's family's flights and burial. It wasn't for attention. It was a secret. A text from Cristina's aunt was the only thing that made it public, but it was later taken down. Perrette never said anything. She didn't need to. She had already done what was important. She had praised a little girl whose strength moved her. Hollywood kept calling Pauley, but she kept standing up for what she believed in. It was 2007, and Playboy magazine paid her $750,000 to pose. No, she said. They came back with almost $1 million in 2013. They were turned down again. NCIS was one of the most watched TV shows at the time. More than 19 million people watched it every week. He thought she would say yes, but she didn't want to be a part of anything that treated women like things. She wanted to send a different message because she knew young fans were tuned in. In a 2014 interview with TV Guide, she said the offers didn't interest her. Not at all. She thought there were other ways to show strength, and she stuck to that idea even though it cost her. There was a big surprise in 2023, though, when Pauley's will got out during a probate case in Los Angeles. Her fortune was worth more than $22 million altogether. There was not a single dollar left for friends or family. Instead, every penny went to animal homes that don't kill animals and the Innocence Project. Her lawyer confirmed it, saying she wanted to escape any inheritance drama. She had already spent years promoting these causes. In 1 year alone, she saved 12 dogs. Her will was split with care, 60% to shelters, 40% to help free the wrongly convicted. She even made one final request. Her ashes would be split. Half would be spread near a dog park. The other half would go to the shelter center where she found her first dog.